Welcome to Coffee and Books channel. In this video, we will present the summary of Jaws by Peter Benchley. Amity is a small resort town in Long Island, New York. The town is reliant on the summer tourist trade, when most of the local businesses make the money which will sustain them through the difficult winter months. One evening, a couple drunkenly frolics on the beach. They do not know that a great white shark is swimming nearby. The woman, Christine Watkins, decides to swim. While her boyfriend falls asleep on the beach, she goes swimming into the sea and suddenly she got attacked and killed by the shark. When her boyfriend Tom wakes up, he cannot find Chrissy. He returns to his house, wakes his friends, and files a police report. The police report is taken by Leonard Len Hendricks, who decides to call the Amity Police Chief, Martin Brody. The call wakes Brody. Before he leaves, he looks at his sleeping wife, Ellen. They have been married many years and they have 3 sons together. But Brody knows that Ellen is dissatisfied with her life in Amity. She is from a wealthy background, part of the rich summer tourists who visit Amity and fund its survival through the winters. Ellen has recently been trying unsuccessfully to reconnect with her past, with the rich folks she grew up with. But Brody, a lifelong Amity resident, does not know how to help her. He leaves the house, goes to the police station, and with Hendricks, they begin searching for Chrissy. They arrive at the beach to search for any traces of her. Later they have found her mangled corpse on the beach. After Chrissy's death, Brody wanted to close the Amity beaches, but Mayor Larry Vaughn intervened. He insists that they cannot risk losing the lucrative summer trade, especially with the upcoming 4th of July weekend. Vaughn convinces Brody to work in conjunction with the editor of the local newspaper, Harry Meadows. To keep the shark attack quiet, Brody and Meadows privately speculate about Vaughn's mysterious business partners. Several days later, the shark attacks again. A young boy and an old man are killed in separate incidents on the beaches of Amity. Brody hires a fisherman named Ben Gardner to kill the shark, but Gardner disappears from his boat. Brody and Hendricks find damage and bite marks along the hull of Ben's boat. It's likely Gardner was killed by the shark. Brody struggles with guilt when the young boy's mother and Gardner's widow accuse him of causing the deaths due to leaving the beach open knowing about the danger of the shark attacks. He asks Meadows to investigate deeper into Vaughn's murky past as he attempts to close the beaches again, determined to protect the people even if it costs him his job. Brody is introduced to a shark expert named Matt Hooper, who hails from the nearby Oceanographic Institute. Hooper is fascinated by the great white shark that's terrorizing the beaches. Through a twist of fate, Hooper is the younger brother of a man Ellen once dated. Like Ellen, Hooper is from a wealthy background and his family used to vacation in seaside resort towns like Amity. His background causes friction with Brody. Ellen becomes fascinated by Hooper as a link to a past she has been trying to revisit. She throws a dinner party and invites Hooper and a few of her friends. Brody does not enjoy the party. He gets drunk and angers Ellen, who seems to be flirting with Hooper. The next day, Brody goes to work, and Ellen decides to call Hooper. She got to work and then told her boss that she was sick and wants to go home. She did it on purpose in order to slip from work and go have lunch with Hooper. They decided to go have lunch somewhere outside of the town so no one sees them. They met in a restaurant and after a long conversation, they begin to tease each other. They both flirt with each other. After a while they decided to go to a motel and have sex. Brody found out that his wife didn't go to work that day, neither Hooper was at his workplace. He begins to suspect his wife of having an affair, but he is too scared to accuse her or Hooper directly. The paranoia grows in his mind and torments him, as he was always asking the whereabouts of Hooper the day his wife wasn't at work. After several days without an attack or even a sighting, Vaughn convinces Brody to reopen the beaches. After investigation, according to Meadows, Vaughn is heavily compromised by his involvement in organized crime. If the house prices in Amity drop, Vaughn stands to lose everything to a local mobster. Vaughn denies the accusations at first, but he becomes increasingly desperate. Meanwhile, the reopened beaches attract attention. People flock to Amity to see the shark that has now made national news. News reporters arrive to film on the beach, and Brody carefully watched the sea. A boy goes swimming and narrowly avoids being killed by the shark after the shark suddenly attacked him. Brody decides that he has no choice but to close the beaches again, regardless of the 4th of July weekend. Vaughn spirals into alcoholism and threatens to leave Amity. Brody is desperate for a solution. He agrees to hire a local fisherman named Quint, who has a reputation as a hard, laconic man. Quint charges Brody double the normal day rate for his services. Brody and Hooper join him on the boat to hunt for the shark. The long, dull hours they spend on Quint's boat cause the 3 men to turn on each other. Arguments break out. Hooper dislikes Quint's methods, particularly his disregard for any environmental laws. Brody still suspects Hooper of having an affair with Ellen. Quint dislikes Brody because Brody knows nothing about fishing or the sea. They spend 2 days at sea, but they only encounter small blue sharks. At the end of the second day, they see the shark that has been terrorizing Amity. They realize just how large this particular shark is and the scale of their task. They try and fail to catch the shark, which bites through the thick lines on which they dangle their bait. While Brody is at sea, Vaughn visits Ellen. He tells her that he plans to flee Amity and he speculates on the life he might have led if he had married Ellen. The conversation with Vaughn makes Ellen reflect on her life and she realizes that she loves her husband. When he returns home, she embraces him and hugs him tightly. The men set out again. This time, Hooper brings a submersible cage which allows him to dive in the water and film the shark. After several failed attempts to harpoon the shark, Hooper gets inside the cage. The shark then attacks Hooper, who is in the cage underwater. The shark breaks the metal cage with its strong jaw and kills Hooper. Brody is distraught and wants to stop the chase. Quint refuses to stop. He no longer cares about money, he only wants to kill the shark. Much to Ellen's protests, Quint and Brody set out again the next day. This time, the shark attacks the boat. Quint hits the shark with several harpoons, each attached to an empty barrel designed to float on the surface and exhaust the animal. They track it for several hours, but the shark attacks the boat again, causing it to sink and killing Quint. Brody is thrown into the water. The injured shark swims toward him, but, just as it is about to reach him, the shark was bleeding too much and dies. Brody sees the shark with Quint in its jaws sinking into the ocean depths together and he begins to swim back to shore. Thanks for watching, like and subscribe for more.